Metal Mike here, and in this one, I'm joined by my Twitter pal, Rob, and together, we share our 10 favorite metal albums from 1990. Now, this was not easy. It was a kick-ass year for metal, and we go through it all. But first, make sure you like and subscribe on YouTube, and consider being a subscriber through Anchor. There's a link in the description below. For $4.99 a month, you can support this show, and in turn, I'll give you access to exclusive content, and I'll keep you in the loop through email on upcoming episodes. Now it's time to hear our epic lists with classic sound bites sprinkled in throughout. Check it out. Well, Rob, welcome to the 80's Glam Metalcast. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good, brother. How you doing tonight?
I am doing great, man. I'm so glad you're able to join me on this one. 1990. What a year, right?
Woo! Good times, long time ago. Wow. What was I, 15, 16 years old? Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
A long time ago.
Let me ask you, and this is kind of where I was at. In 1990, I still really didn't see the writing on the wall. To me, it looked like metal was pretty healthy at this point. You know, I mean, a lot of the hair bands put out some of their best work. Bands like Priest were getting real heavy again. Megadeth and Slayer and all these guys were coming to prominence. I didn't see an end to it. What do you think about it?
You know, Mike, I kind of did, because a lot of people around me, they were kind of moving on to gangster rap. Plus, I was in the, on the Pacific Northwest. So, you know, we always were hearing about bands like Soundgarden. And, you know, in 1990, like we're going to discuss, Mother Love Bone put their first album out, so that was kind of on everybody's radar. So, you know, music was changing a bit. Like, it was already starting, you know, a lot of guys I went to school with were all of a sudden like, oh, you know, that glam metal crap, you know, they were kind of like, you know, not really into it anymore. It was, yeah, I could sense a change. I really could. I stuck with it. Right. You know, I didn't care. But, yeah, you could sense a change, definitely. It was coming. It was coming.
I guess deep down, I probably was moving on a bit myself, because I realized that I didn't get a lot of debut hair metal albums, especially once you got to like the next year, 91. A lot of those debuts that we get all those people talking about, like, you know, Roxy Blue and Wild Side and all that, maybe that stuff went into 92, but I didn't get any of that stuff. So I had kind of moved on to different stuff as well. I think I stuck with, you know, my homeboys like Poison and Winger and all these guys, but I wasn't kind of jumping on the train for the new artists at that point, you know, that played that style. So, yeah, I guess I was kind of moving on a little bit myself.
Yeah, for me too. I mean, by 1990, you know, I started, you know, I was getting into death metal, you know what I mean? I could easily put a couple of, you know, death metal albums on this list here tonight, but, yeah, it was changing for me too a little bit, you know, definitely. But, yeah, this was hard doing this list, man, I tell you, it was hard. You know what I did? I stuck with glam metal. I'm not even kidding. My list tonight here is going to be all glam metal, sleaze metal, and hard rock, brother.
Nice. I've got a couple heavy ones, but nothing too crazy. Another thing that rings, you know, that comes to mind with 1990 is look at the touring. Because you've had some bands that were still on some big tours in 1990. The Dr. Feelgood tour went into 90. Hot in the Shade tour really peaked in 90. And I think even from a touring aspect, I didn't see an end to that happening. And I think what was happening, too, is we were on the cycle. So our 88 bands were putting out their albums in 90. You know, we had just gotten off the 89 run of bands, and then they were on tour in 90. So, like I said, 90 was still pretty healthy, at least sales-wise.
It really was, yeah. It really was. Yeah, I saw a lot of concerts in 90, and most of those were, you know, sellouts or near sellouts. But when we got into 91, that's when I noticed. Like, when I went to see Cinderella, and Slaughter was opening for Cinderella. Man, this was at the arena in Vancouver, and man, oh man, you know, 17,000 seater, there was probably 2,000 people there.
Wow.
And that's really when I noticed, in 91. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, you know, the wheels are coming off the bus here, no doubt about it.
Yeah, there was definitely the bottom fell out in 91, man. So, hey, why don't we jump right in? I'm dying to hear, man. What is your number 10?
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Here we go. Number 10 for me, Hurricane Alice, Tear the House Down.
Nice.
When I did this list, I basically went, okay, I'm just picking the stuff I played the crap out of back in 90, and this is one of them. I mean, I love this album. Wild, Young and Crazy, Bad to Love, Dream Girl, Tear the House Down. I love the song Too Late. I played the crap out of this. It's kind of one of those hated albums, though. It's like, oh yeah, here comes the D-list band, you know what I mean? But now for me, man, I played the crap out of it, loved it. That's the number 10 spot for me, Hurricane Alice.
Well, you know that I like that album a lot. It didn't make my top 10, but yeah, I really dig the title, or actually, was it the title track? Was that the first single? The title, I liked that one a lot, and I always thought Dream Girl was a cool ballad. I never was into ballads that much, but I thought he had a really nice bluesy voice, the singer, and yeah, that's a cool album, man.
Absolutely, yeah. And I like the fact that the album's not overproduced either. There's a bit of a rawness to it, you know what I mean? That's what I liked about it for sure. But
Yeah, so I went with most of mine are established bands. I don't know if I think I might have one debut, but I don't want to reveal any secrets. I'm just gonna jump in. So number 10, I went with Against the Law by Stryper, man. I love that album, and
Nice.
I understand where Michael Sweet's coming from, and I love Stryper's message, but I get that's who they are. But I think it was cool that they took a little detour with the message and the look, and definitely the production, man, was just off the charts. It's their best sounding album in my opinion, and I really feel like it's kind of like maybe it's not as metal as some of the ones before, especially To Hell with the Devil or Soldiers Under Command, but it's really full. It's a full sounding album. It's a really good sound, and it's fun, and I just dig it, man. I think it's really I think it's a great album, especially those last 3 tracks. They feel the most Stryperish. Like Caught in the Middle, All for One, and Rock the Hell Out of You. Those songs are so cool. And Against the Law is great. Two-Time Woman. I don't know, man. The whole friggin' album's awesome. So that's my number 10.
Yeah, nice. I'm with you on that one. Love that record. Shining Star is fantastic, too. I love that cover. So good.
Yep. It's good stuff. What do you got for your 9?
Number 9, I went with another debut. Salty Dog. Every dog has its day.
Oh, nice one. I kind of forgot about that one for this. There's always somebody that you forget about. I forgot that came out in 90. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I remember seeing the video for Come Along, and I was just like, who the hell are these guys? I just thought, oh, this dude's cool. It's got a great voice. Just a killer record. I mean, start to finish. Come Along, Cat's Got 9, Ring My Bell. Spoonful.
Yep.
Keep Me Down is awesome. I love this album. Yeah, again, another one I just couldn't get enough of. Just played it over and over again, and like I said, that's what this list was all about for me. Just what I played the hell out of, and that's number 9 for me.
Yeah, that's a great one. I love the song Heave Hard, She Comes Easy. I don't know, I always like that song. I think that's a little deeper in the album, but you know what was cool about that album? It didn't sound like any of the other hair bands. This one definitely had like that 70s vibe. It was really raw. The drums had that Led Zeppelin type of sound. So it really sounded nothing like some of the stuff that was coming out in like 89 and 88. So, once again, that's why I kind of felt hopeful in 90. I was like, man, there's so many different kinds of styles and cool bands all coexisting, but it wasn't going to last.
Yeah, I know. I mean, some of these bands, like Salty Dog, and I mean, Hurricane Alice, I mean, they just came out at the wrong time.
Yep.
These albums should have been out in 88 or maybe early 89. And, how many times have we said this? Just be a different story for them, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So number 9 for me is Up From the Ashes, Don Dokken. Man, he's got the all-star band. There's so many cool songs on this one. I would have rated it higher, but I feel like there's a few sleepers on this one. There's like too many slow tunes, But the songs that are upbeat and faster, like I love the song Down in Flames. The Hunger ends the album, and Crash and Burn is great. Obviously, Mirror Mirror, the single was awesome. So I don't know. I kind of wish that was a Dokken album. I would have loved to have seen what like Dokken, Up from the Ashes, mixed with Wicked Sensation from Lynch Mob would have been like. But I don't know. It still was a great album.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I don't have that one on my list for sure, but I definitely like that. And I saw that tour.
Nice.
Actually, I saw that tour. They opened for Poison, Flesh and Blood tour. It was supposed to be Warrant, but I guess there was some band friction, and that didn't happen. So yeah, I guess Don Dawkins stepped in, and I bought that actually after I saw that show.
Nice.
And yeah, I dig that album too, man. That's a cool album. Cool album.
Yeah, definitely. What do you have for 8?
Number 8, I went Cinderella, Heartbreak Station.
Put your hands together.
Yeah. This one, I gotta admit, when it came out, it was a bit of a grower. I mean, it was so rootsy sounding, and all the kind of the 80s sort of cliche, were kind of stripped away, and just very bluesy, and I just wasn't ready for it. I was like, what's going on here? One for rock and roll. What's that all about? And,
that was a shocker.
It grew on me. I was sort of like, what is going on here? Like, I don't feel like I'm listening to a glam metal album. It's not what I expected. And but it grew on me. And I mean, the more things change, of course, Shelter Me, Heartbreak Station. Dead Man's Road, such a cool song. And started the tour. And they were fantastic. Every time I've seen Cinderella, man, they just killed it live. Just amazing. Yeah. So that's my number 8. But that was a grower for me. That's why it's kind of down low, down the 8. It's not my favorite Cinderella record, but it's definitely worthy of a top 10 and 90 for me.
Yeah, I honestly, that one did not make my top 10. It was very, very close. And what's weird, I'm the opposite of you in regards to how I react to the album. Like, I really liked it when it came out, and I just remember playing the hell out of it. Mm-hmm. And then I think over the years, I don't like it as much as I used to. I feel like they went too far in the blues direction and strayed way too far from, the debut. I like Long Cold Winter better. I like how they still had that heaviness, and there were some metallic sounds, but then they integrated the blues. And then I feel like by the time we got to this one, it was too far in that direction. But still, man, those songs are so good. There's just so many songs, and but I think some of them just don't work for me anymore. So that's why it did not make my list. But yeah, and you're right. And you made a good point about seeing somebody live. A lot of times that was the thing. It was like you might have been on the fence about something, and then the minute you saw the tour, I feel like if that was a good live show, you were buying the album and you were hardcore listening to it. So the live shows and seeing a band on that tour always helped.
Yeah, for sure. You know what I always made me laugh about this album too is you look at the album cover and you look at the back with the train track.
Yeah.
I mean, it tells you everything about what you're about to hear.
It does.
Do you know what I mean when I say that? It's like,
yep.
I know exactly what this is going to sound like when I put it on.
Yeah. If they looked like they did at Night Songs on the cover and then you heard what the album really was, you would have been really confused. But you're right. They marketed it pretty well.
Yeah, for sure. That would have been weird. Night Song album cover, and then you do these songs. Like, what the hell?
Gotcha, right?
What's going on here?
All right, man. So my number 8. Is Tiger Tail's Berserk. And the thing with Berserk...
I didn't even really take that.
Here's the thing with Berserk. I'll be honest. It took me about... I don't know. It could have took 20 years, I think, for me to get into this album. I don't know why. I got it around when it came out, like on an import cassette or something. But for some reason, I just couldn't take to Kim Hooker at the time. I thought I just was a Stevie James nut, and I loved that first album. So I kind of dabbled with this, but then I kind of sat on it. And then, fast forward to maybe I don't know, sometime in the 2000s, maybe 2005, 2010, somewhere in there, I started listening to this religiously, just constantly listening to it. And then I started to realize, like, wow, what an idiot. Why did I not like this, back in 1990? Because this album kicks ass. It's like heavy glam, And this is one of those situations when I go back and think about it. When I talk to Jay Pepper, for me, and I know you and I like a lot of these same like poppy glam songs. So I love songs on there like Twist and Shake, all these catchy songs. So then I talk to Jay Pepper and he's like, no, I like Sick Sex, and I like, because he likes all the heavy ones, And it was just like, what's wrong with me, man? Why did these guys who are like these glam guys like all these wicked heavy tunes, and then I'm the one who's all obsessed with the pop songs? But I don't know. I'm a freak. What can I say? But yeah, to me, this album sounds like a live album. Like they've got so much reverb on the drums and on the guitar and everything. It sounds so damn cool. I used to crank that cassette in my car, and it just sounded like a concert. So I love the production. It's not even really produced like a glam album. It's produced like a thrash album, in my opinion.
Yeah, and it's raw sounding. It's kind of got like the almost too fast for love thing going on.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's just a very raw sounding, and sometimes that works. I don't have that album on my list anywhere, but I definitely dig that record, no question.
Yeah,
no question.
What do you got for 7?
Number 7 is one that will not be on your list, I guarantee, based on past conversations, but I got to go with it because I played the shit out of it.
Ow! I'm Janie Lane.
And I'm Jerry Dixon.
We are Warrant, and we're too hot on the hot seat.
This is our new video. It's a real lovely, lovely ballad. I hope it never happens to you.
God! She took my money! She took my heart, everything! This is called I Saw Red.
Cherry Pie.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, sir. Cherry Pie, I mean, what can I say about it? I mean, Uncle Tom's Cabin, I Saw Red, Love in Stereo, Song and Dance Man. My biggest problem with this album is why isn't In the Sky one of the tracks on here? Like I say, Take Off, You're the Only Hell Your Mama Ever Raised, and put In Disguise on here.
Yeah.
I don't know why that was like a bonus track, or it should have been on here. But I love this record. I played the hell out of it. And the fact that people hated it, all the more reason to crank it.
You're right. I never got into this album for some reason, and I don't know why. Sonically, it's a great album. I think it sounds way better. The production is way better than the first one. The 2 songs that I love on this one are Mr. Rainmaker and Uncle Tom's Cabin. I think those are 2 of Warrant's best songs. But the rest of the album does nothing for me. And I've tried, and it just is what it is. That's a little gap for me. I love the debut. I love Dog Eat Dog. Cherry Pie is just that little, it's kind of like a head scratcher. I just don't get a lot of it. It just doesn't register to me. I don't know why.
Right. Hey, that's the way of it. Some albums just don't click with people. I mean, I'm the same way. Like, somebody will tell me, this album is so awesome, it's the best, you got to listen to it, and I put it on, and it's just like, what?
Yeah.
What are you hearing? And so I get it. I totally understand. Absolutely.
I liken it to food. You can't really explain why you like pizza but you don't like Chinese food or something. You can't explain it. It's just you like it or you don't. And that's the way it was with an album. You plug it in, you play it a few times and it doesn't register, then it probably never is going to. It's just not for you. You don't understand the artist's point of view. It's just not registering. So I've been there. We've all been there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely.
All right. So for 7,
that's that. Okay. What do you got?
I got Poison by Belle Biv DeVoe. Wait a minute, that was my R&B list. Oh, sorry, that was wrong. I had to do it. We were talking about some of these ones that were not allowed on this list. So that kind of stuff, not allowed on this list. Okay, so my 7 is an album. I compare this album a lot. It reminds me of Dr. Feelgood a lot. It's very single heavy, I call it. It's got a lot of big singles on it. Stick It To Ya by Slaughter. Love it, man. Great album. And here's why I like Stick It To Ya a little bit better than Dr. Feelgood. Where Dr. Feelgood for me had great singles, the deep tracks just, I don't know, just never did anything for me. And with this album, the songs that weren't released are some of the coolest ones, like Eye to Eye, Desperately, Burning Bridges. I love all those songs, and I love the singles too. So for me, it's just, and it's an awesome sounding album. Once again, sonically, most of these albums are kicking ass, and it's because technology was going forward as well. You know what I mean? They could do a lot more tracks. Digital was coming in, and this is one of those albums that just sounds so killer and it's just well written.
Yeah.
And I don't think, and you could disagree or agree with me, Slaughter never captured this vibe again. You know what I mean? The next album was a major drop off, and then the next one was a major drop off. So I don't know what it is. You know, sometimes the lightning strikes right at the beginning, and that's what it did for these guys. But just a great, great album.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And yeah, the Wildlife did not compare. One of the things that annoyed me too about the Wildlife, I don't know what they were thinking when it came to the production.
Oh.
It's so wooden sounding, if that's a good way to describe it. It just, like, what's happening?
Yeah.
It just ruined the song.
Yeah.
It really did.
I'm with you. I think it should have had the same kind of sound quality as the debut, but I think because there were, we're 92 at that point, they were trying to, I don't know if they were trying to play along with what was going on, but it didn't work.
It didn't work, no. And I mean, there's some great songs on there.
Yeah.
There is.
Oh, definitely.
It's just, again, it's ruined by poor production, and yeah, coming out stick it to you, it's just not as good.
No, it's not, man. What do you got for 6?
No. Number 6. Oh, here we go. Stream 2. Porno Graffiti.
Ah, yeah.
Yes, sir. So More Than Words. Okay, it got played to death. I mean, yeah. But there was a time when the album came out, it was just a ballad on the album before it became a huge hit. And, I love this record. I mean, man, I played the hell out of it. Decadent Dance, When I'm President, Get the Funk Out. I love this record. It was constant rotation for me. I never took it off, man. For weeks, I played this thing, and I never expected it to kind of blow up like it did. When More Than Words came out, and it was on the radio, and on Much Music up here in Canada, and of course MTV every 10 minutes, and oh my God. I think that song was a gift for them. At the same time, it was kind of a curse.
Yeah.
The More Than Words guy. It's like, no, man, these guys really do, they can kick some ass. There's no question. And I mean, Nuno's freaking amazing. I mean,
oh, yeah.
I love listening to that guy play guitar. Absolutely. So, yeah. That's where I am with number 6.
Now for 6,
what's your take on that one?
For that one, I never really was a big Extreme fan, and I don't know why, because I have a ton of respect for them. I think they're all talented, but for some reason, it just Extreme never registered for me. But with this album, you're right. I remember, I know Decadence Dance and Get the Funk Out. Those were the first 2 singles from what I remember. And they really didn't do anything.
Right.
They were just typical Headbangers Ball Fare. But man, once More Than Words came out, and then Wholehearted, it was like the album picking up that major steam at the end. And that's not uncommon. That happened with Tesla, with Great Radio Controversy. Those first singles did nothing. And then Love Song was huge. So this sometimes happens, and they really got lucky there at the end of the run.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. That kind of happened with Guns N' Roses too. I mean, Appetite came out; it didn't really do much.
Nope.
Sweet Child of Mine gets released, and all of a sudden, boom!
Yep.
Thing just explodes. So,
yep.
Yeah, it happens.
Number 6 is a little bit of an oddball one. It's not a hair metal album at all. Last Decade, Dead Century from Warrior Soul. Always was big into Warrior Soul, man, and I love Corey Clark. And I feel like at this point, I'm getting older. I'm getting more rebellious, and I'm liking some of the political stuff. It's making me think. And some of the things he was saying, I had never heard. None of the hair bands really went to this, this level. Songs like the Losers and In Conclusion. We Cry Out. It's just, it was the beginning of kind of a awakening, as a teenager to like, there's this whole other world out there. So yeah, it's just kind of one of those ones that just, it's not a hair metal album, but I really love the rawness of it. I love what was being said, and I guess it was just real different for me compared to like, and it's real different from something like Slaughter or any of that kind of stuff I've already mentioned. But yeah, that was a cool album, and it was on Headbangers Ball, but you could tell it really wasn't the typical metal that we were used to. But yeah, that's a good one. I love that one.
Yeah, that is a great record. And yeah, to your point about, taking things more serious and political, one of the albums I left off this list, but I was going to put it on there, was 1990's Time's Up by Living Colour.
Yeah.
Yep. I don't know if he ever got into that album at all, but, same deal. A little more serious,
yep.
A little more, political, and same deal. But that Warrior Soul album's fantastic.
Yeah.
And you know what? I completely forgot about that one.
That's like your Salty Dog for me. Salty Dog was like just right over my head on this one. What do you got for 5?
Oh, you ready? We're in the top 5 now.
This is the serious shit now.
This is serious now. We're getting in the nitty gritty. My number 5 is Detonator by Ratt.
Ooh, Detonator, man.
Yes, sir. I remember when this came out, I didn't hear anything off it. I didn't hear any songs on the radio, nothing. I remember going to a music store, and there it was sitting on the shelf on cassette. I was like, a new Ratt album? Okay. So I grabbed it, took it home, and put it on, and fell in love with it. It's actually one of my favorite Ratt records.
Mm-hmm.
I love Shame, 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 Loving You, The Dirty Job, Scratch That Itch, One Step Away, Heads I Win, Tails You Lose, Giving Yourself Away. I love this album. I had it up higher than 5, but there was something about the next 4 that kind of made me go, okay, what did I play more?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What I remember about this
one,
I remember, this is like a big blur because they feel like they all came out around the same time, but I definitely felt like Against the Law, Detonator, and Empire, just all right around the same time. I remember buying those albums all probably within the same few days, days within each other. And it's hard back in the day when you used to do that because you didn't have a lot of time to just hang out with one album for a couple weeks because you had 3 brand new ones, and you're shuffling through to try to figure out, how you're going to balance your time, listen to all these albums. So, but with Detonator, okay, I got mixed feelings on Detonator, and I'm going to try to explain where my mixed feelings come in. I really, really, really liked Reach for the Sky. I don't know. A lot of people don't like Reach for the Sky, but I love Reach for the Sky. I think every song is really cool. I love it. And here's the problem that I had when it came out, and this is the problem that I have with it today still, is that Desmond Child influence, to me, creates an album that almost any band could play. And it happened with Alice Cooper. I'm not a big fan of Trash. It's happened, with other artists. That's an album that I felt like Ratt lost some of their identity. Ratt is great, and sometimes you do need that songwriter, but that's my only gripe. And today, you're right. I like a lot of those songs that you mentioned. I like the singles and whatnot, but that's my only gripe. Is I feel like it's that Desmond Child songwriting stuff that, and it just kind of all sounds the same. Like I said, those songs could have been on the Alice Cooper album and vice versa. That's the only thing I don't like about it.
Yeah, and he's all over this, too. I mean, he even produced this thing under the name Sir Arthur Payson. But, yeah, he's all over this thing. And I agree with what you're saying. Definitely, he's all over it. I mean, every song has his touch. His production sound, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Something he's produced.
And the funny thing is that, like, Ratt is going for this, the outside writer and having him produce, but it really didn't work. It wasn't a big album compared to a lot of the other stuff that was out. So it's kind of weird. But Giving Yourself Away, that's a great song. Like when I went back and I listened to that quite a bit before I talked to Steven, whenever I talked to him. I don't remember, maybe it was early this year. It's all blurred, Rob. I can't remember. But I remember listening to that album again. And especially that song, I watched the video. It was like a Japan-only video or something. And I was like, this is a really great song. So, really great song. I don't know if it's a really great Ratt song, but it's a really great song.
Yeah, for sure.
Do I have to do my 5 now?
You're up next?
I'm up next. Okay. This one was, I was torn on this one because I got mixed feelings on this album too.
The number 1 rock track of the year is Silent Lucidity from the double platinum selling album Empire.
I got Empire from Queensryche as number 5 because it has that same kind of characteristic that Stick It To You has. It's got once again, I didn't write this down, but I want to say half the album was released as a video, and I don't know how it was in Canada, but I mean, American radio and MTV beat the shit out of Jet City Woman, Another Rainy Night Without You, Silent Lucidity, obviously. So this album, was getting hammered on radio, and some of those songs I might not really want to hear that much anymore. But I've got to take it for the context of when it came out, not, what happened after the fact. And it's a great album, and I'm so glad that they didn't try to recreate Operation Mindcrime. That's what was so cool about Queensryche back in the day, is that they kept you guessing, Well, you go back from The Warning to here, every album is completely different sounding. It has different lyrical vibes, musical vibes. You never know what you're going to get. The image always changed. And it made it exciting. So it's cool, and I'll always love Operation Mindcrime, and probably will always look at that as one of their best. This is pretty damn good, man. Like Best I Can, Empire. Is There Anybody Listening? Once again, even though it wasn't super
Brown.
Yeah, that's a pretty political song. Makes you think about stuff and question things. Yeah. So yeah, that's a great album.
Yeah, and the title track, Empire. I mean, I think that was the first single I heard off that album, and damn, that was a great song.
I'm kind of concerned because at this point, you and I have no crossover. We have not picked any of the same albums, and I know that you and I like a lot of the same music. So I'm curious to see where if we're going to at least get one before this thing's over with.
Well, guess what? Ask me what my number 4 is.
What's your 4?
You ready?
Yeah.
Number 4, Striper, Against the Law.
Yeah, I knew it. Finally.
You knew it was coming at some point.
Yeah.
All right. What can I say? I mean, you've already said it. I mean, Michael Sweet doesn't like this album. I don't care, Michael. I don't care, man. I don't know what you're thinking. I really don't. I mean, Against the Law, Two-Time Woman, Rock the People. I mean, I love every song on this album. That Shining Star, that's a great track. Lady is a great ballad. Rock the Hell Out of You. I mean, Michael's voice on this thing, on Two Bodies, One Mind, One Soul. Whew. I mean, that's something else. I love this record. So there we go. We finally have one of the same.
Now, I was a little disappointed when you told me that you were kind of just going to do hair metal, because I know that you like you said, you like death metal, you like thrash metal. I was kind of hoping you were going to bring in some of that, because I only brought in one album. A lot of them, and maybe when we're done, we'll talk about some honorable mentions. And I think we probably could have did a thrash list, right? Because 90 was a freaking monster of a year for thrash albums. But there was one that was undeniable. I mean, I couldn't keep it off my list.
The band's lineup is nearly as volatile as the politics they sing about. Mustaine and bassist Dave Ellefson have gone through half a dozen guitarists and drummers in just a few years. The latest recruits are guitarist Marty Friedman and drummer Nick Menza.
And that's Rust in Peace by Megadeth. I had to have that on there because to me, that's when Megadeth started making sense to me. Like, I had at least the two prior to this one, and I liked certain songs, but I didn't ever like any of them as a complete album. When I bought this one, though, I was like, yeah, man, with this lineup and these songs, it's just so damn good. And even now, this is one of those ones where the singles don't get old. Holy Wars never gets old. Hangar 18 doesn't get old.
Nope.
I mean, obviously, Take No Prisoners, Eye of the Tornado, Dawn Patrol. I mean, it's just a sick album. I'm a bass player, so I love the bass on this album. And it's just, I don't know, every song is good and they all fit together. You know, it's like one of those, it's a cohesive album where I feel like I love Against the Law by Striper, but there's parts where it's kind of like are we the new Striper? Or are we the old Striper? They don't know. You know what I mean? They're kind of teetering back and forth. Where this is just a solid, in the zone effort that is consistent all the way through. And this was basically, for me, this was like when Megadeth really started to make sense to me. So
yeah. Well, funny story about that album. There was a guy I knew, back in junior high school when that album came out, and he was all death metal. I mean, you talk about glam metal or anything with him, forget it. And he would always call, like, thrash music, it's primitive. It's primitive. You know, he was into, like, Bolt Thrower and Death and Obituary. And I got Rust in Peace by Megadeth. I said, no, take this home, man. Here, you can borrow it off me. Take it home. Try it out. No. So I finally convinced him, and he took it home, and he brought it back the next day, and he's like, holy shit, man, that was awesome, like, he was just stoked about it. He friggin' loved it, It's like, not so primitive now, is it,
Oh, no.
He was all over it. I never forgot that story. Yeah. So, as far as the thrash, when we get into honorable mentions, that's where I'm going to tap into that.
Okay. Yeah, nice. I got some too, because like I said, I was starting to get into thrash probably around 89, maybe even before that, but was sparing. Like, I know I had Anthrax Among the Living around when it came out, but it was only that. I didn't have a lot, because that one made sense, because Joey kind of had that voice that was familiar to me, for somebody who listened to, like, glam metal and that kind of stuff. But then I think once we got to this point, I was listening to a lot of thrash. But I'm getting off topic. So what is your 3?
Okay. Number 3.
Their smash hit, Something to Believe In, from their album, Flesh and Blood. This is Poison.
Everybody's favorite band. Number 3, I put Flesh and Blood by Poison.
Yeah!
Yeah.
Yes!
Yeah. I mean, what can I say? Valley of Lost Soul. They got serious. They got bluesier. I mean, the transition from Look What the Cats Ride did, nobody realizes it, to this album, it's huge.
Yep.
A song like Something to Believe In, Ride the Wind. I mean, sure, there was Unskinny Bop, but, times were still fun in 1990, so...
Yep.
We still wanted to smile at that time. And, the ballad Life Goes On, I love CC's solo on that. So, great record. Poor Boy Blues, love that song.
Yep.
Number 3.
Well, maybe that one is on my list somewhere. I don't know. We'll see. I don't want to give it away. My number 3 is different, though. I went with...
Hi, this is Kip Winger and Red Beach from Winger, and we're going to be your hosts this time on Headbangers Ball.
In the Heart of the Young by Winger. I guess I didn't realize how much I love this album until I started doing this list, and I'm looking at the songs, and I think it's great, man. It's like, it's cool because I think the album starts off and Winger is kind of doing their typical thing. They got their pop metal songs that would fit with all the other bands that were out. You got your ballad, Miles Away. But then as the album progresses, them as well, they're getting into more mature and more complex stuff, like The Day We'll Never See, even Baptized by Fire, that thing that Red Beach does in the beginning. I mean, there's some sick
that's crazy
musicianship on this whole album. And a lot of people just want to base it on Can't Get Enough or whatever, fine. But you've got to listen to the whole album. Because, like I said, there's some really, really cool, mature stuff on this album. So, and hey, man, Bo Hill said this is the most talented band he's ever worked with. So I got Bo in my corner on this one.
He's right. Yeah, and I love that album too. I mean, it's definitely over in my, honorable mentions. Great record. I mean, like you said, like Baptized by Fire is amazing. Again, not a huge ballad guy, but I mean, I love Miles Away. I think that's a really cool track.
It is.
Easy Come, Easy Go. Great album.
And my wife loves this album, and she loves Winger. So, I mean, if I didn't put this on there, Lori would be really upset with me. Right, Lori? So what do you have? What's your 2, man?
Oh, you ready?
Yeah.
Here we go. Number 2. Slaughter, Stake It To You.
There we go. See, I knew. Yeah, there we go. I knew that. I was like, man, this has got to be on his list. Come on.
Well, the thing was, it was number one.
Wow, okay.
It was number one. Yeah, Mike, I wore the letters off the cassette within a couple of weeks, man. I mean, I would put it on and start it over again. I mean, Eye to Eye, Burning Bridges, Up All Night, Spend My Life. I mean, She Wants More, Fly to the Angel. I mean, this album's just loaded. I love Desperately. That's a great track.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, You Are the One. Yeah, definitely. So, and yeah, I got the chance to see them twice.
Yep.
On this tour for this album. So, and they were solid, no question.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like you were saying earlier about the Wildlife. I mean, it just it just wasn't the same.
No,
it wasn't the same.
You know what I wanted to mention, and I want to get your take on this. I forgot to mention this when I mentioned this album. Slaughter was able to pull off what Vinnie Vincent Invasion could not. And you know I'm a big Vinnie Vincent fan, and I think All Systems Go is great. But I want to say from a appeal to like the world, you know, like a mass appeal, and with a production standpoint, this album blows away All Systems Go.
And with us right now, we've got Mark Slaughter and Dana Strum from the band Slaughter.
Hey, Rick.
Hi, guys. Now, a lot of you people out there might remember these guys from the Vinnie Vincent Invasion.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And now you guys are on your own.
Started the new thing.
What made you decide to go on your own?
Musical differences, and we just like to wish him the best. And
general feeling of wanting to rock.
Yeah, we wanted to get a band of camaraderie and have everybody, you know, all for one.
If you want to gauge it on those factors, you know what I mean? We didn't need a bunch of hodgepodge fast playing and all that bullshit that Vinnie Vincent does. We just needed good songs, well produced. You've got the right front man. He's got the look. He's got the sound. I think Vinnie Vincent was holding Mark Slaughter back for sure.
Oh, no question. Yeah, I mean this buries All Systems Go. I mean, it's not even a competition.
Right.
I dig All Systems Go. It's a great. I mean, it's a cool album, but I mean, not compared to this.
Nope.
You know, and I mean, you could tell. I mean, let's be honest. Chrysalis threw a lot of money at this album.
Yeah.
They really did. I mean, they threw a lot of money at the studio and made sure these guys put out a well-produced, album. And, just solid. All these years later, I'm still not sick of it. I could put that album on any time a day and still love it as much as I did way back in 1990. So.
And you know what's cool is that one song, I think She Wants More, or She Wants Money. What's that? What song am I thinking of? Yeah, it's funny when they're talking about the...
She Wants Money is Ratt.
Oh, that's right. It's talking about the girl going out and spending all the money on the credit cards, man. You'd think that would be dated, but that hasn't changed.
No.
It's just weird how
it has not.
All right, man. So here's my number 2. It's definitely one that you had on your list. I got Flesh and Blood, man. I think this is Poison's best album. Like I said, a lot of maturity. The playing is great. You mentioned a lot of the songs that I like. A couple that I really like. Actually, one that you didn't mention that I really like is "Life Loves a Tragedy." I just think that is such a it's a deep song, but it also is fun. You know what I mean? It's hard. Only Poison could pull that off. So yeah, great stuff, man. Great stuff.
Yeah, that's a great track. Yeah, that's a great album. And I remember getting that in the summertime too, and that's what it makes me think about. I go back to the summer of 1990 when I got that, when I got Flesh and Blood, and it's just like, like when you're thinking about the summers of your youth, and you can attach an album to it, it just sticks with you over the years, right? So, great choice there.
Yeah, I saw that tour. Like I think you did too, but I saw it before the shakeup with Warrant. So I saw Warrant with Poison. So that was a really cool show. That was a great show. All right, this is make or break now, man. What's your number 1?
Woo! Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Big drum roll. Big drum roll. My number 1, Blackout in the Red Room by Love Hate.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
You are ready for that?
Nope. Mine blown right there. Mine was blown.
Oh, Oh, Mike, what can I say? Yeah, I mean, whew, I love this album. First time I saw the video for Blackout in the Red Room, I was like, okay, I got to go get this now. And I did. Again, another one of those ones where I just wore out the cassettes. Love this record. Blackout in the Red Room, Rock Queen, Why Do You Think They Call It Dope, Fuel to Run, She's an Angel, Mary Jane, Straight Jacket, Slutsy Tipsy. I mean, yeah, just one of my favorite all-time, call it what you want, hard rock, heavy metal, sleaze metal, glam metal, whatever you want to put, label you want to put on it. I love it. Absolutely love it. It's raw. I love Jizzy's voice. Yeah, that's it. What else can I say? That's my number one.
Well, I'm glad that you pulled one out of left field, because I felt like what I did an 89 list a couple weeks back, and I put Loudness Soldier of Fortune as number one, and I think people were like, WTF, you know what I mean? What the hell? So
I did. I was like, what?
Right? And I love it. And you got to stand by what you love, man, when it comes to your music. And I'm going to be honest, this was an album when it came out, I didn't get it. Like, I didn't understand these guys. I didn't really care for his voice. It just wasn't registering with me. And then I talked to him a few months back, and I went back and I listened to Love Hate, and I was like, this is great. Whatever feelings I had before were gone. So it is kind of funny to see how your tastes change over the years. You don't know what it is, why you don't like something, 20, 30 years ago, but now today you like it. So I thought it sounded great, and I would like to get, kind of give it a chance and really, get to know that album. But my number one is, it's a little heavier, but it's not too heavy.
We made a killer metal album, the best one we've ever made to date, and we're really excited about it.
It's Painkiller by Priest.
Yes. There you go.
This one for me, I think that with this one, it was like, I probably got really into Priest at Turbo, and I kind of was just following the trajectory. So I had Turbo, thought it was pretty cool, got Ram It Down, thought that was pretty cool, it was a little heavier. And I think we get to this point, and we're building off that momentum, and we're just out of control, man. They got Scott Travis with all that friggin' double bass. Rob's doing all the the crazy screams. And I think what's weird, I'm not trying to get deep here, but I feel like this kind of album is kind of like where I'm at in general with music. I love, and people don't know this about me, but I really do gravitate toward heavier music. I don't really always gravitate toward softer or glam or pop music. I really do like heavy music, and I like heavy music attached to really well-written songs. So I feel like this is where we've got that perfect marriage, heavy-ass songs with well-written songs, all together. And there's just so many cool ones that you don't even hear a lot about like One Shot at Glory, All Guns Blazing, when he does that screaming all by himself when he's doing the vocals.
Crazy.
And obviously Painkiller is just ridiculous, and maybe the guys were taking borrowing a little bit from Slayer on some of the solos and stuff they were doing, but whatever, man. They invented that shit, and Slayer kind of stole it from them anyway. So I think that any things they took from other people or stuff that somebody probably took from them, it just made it heavier anyways. But now, concert-wise, I saw this tour. I saw Operation Rock and Roll. I don't know if this came to Canada or not, but I mean, dude, it was the sickest tour ever. It was Metal Church, Dangerous Toys, Motorhead, Alice Cooper, and Judas Priest. And I think this was in 91.
Yeah.
But I think at that point I was into the album, but this was like, once again, I had it and I was into it. But once I saw it live with that huge metallic stage, lasers, motorcycles, it was just, over, man. I freaking, I love it to this day. And it's probably an album, I think too, and with this whole list proves this. If an album is really good, it'll just last forever. You know what I mean? There's some of those ones where I liked it in '88, but I don't like it today. We got a lot of those, but Painkiller is not one of those. It's just stellar.
Oh yeah, and I remember the first time seeing that. It was the debut for the video of Painkiller, and I remember sitting there thinking, okay, so what's this going to be, like another parental guidance or another Ram It Down type song? And when that fucking song kicked in, I was, what the hell is happening right now? Like, it just blew me away. Holy shit. Yeah, amazing record. That's a great number one, definitely.
You know what's sad about Ram It Down is that Ram It Down received really no promo from the record label. I want to say the only video they did was for Johnny Be Good, for that stupid movie. And I don't necessarily hate Johnny Be Good, but it's not representative of what the album's about. You know what I mean? And I don't know why they never did like they should have did. They probably could have did like a Painkiller type video for something like Ram It Down, the song, because it's a pretty heavy ass song. And there's so many. I actually like Ram It Down quite a bit, and I don't know.
Yeah,
they dropped the ball.
Guys, that's a great track.
Oh, it's ridiculously good, man.
Yeah.
There's just so many good songs. They totally boned it on that album, but man, they really the promotion and the songs and the times, it was all spot on. So let's hear about some of your honorable mentions and whatever you want to throw out there. You probably are going to throw out a lot of the same ones that I'm going to throw out there, but what do you got for some of yours that almost made it but didn't?
Well, like I said, I went all glam because you are the 80s glam cast.
Correct. Correct.
Okay. And I needed to make this easier on myself because it was way too hard, man. I was just like, okay. So for me, Mike, as you know, and you've seen me posted on Twitter, I am into the heavier stuff. So I kept all that for my sort of honorable mentions. So I got Anthrax, Persistence of Time. I got Seasons in the Abyss by Slayer.
Great album.
Rust in Peace by Megadeth. Definitely has to go on there. And, of course, Painkiller by Judas Priest. And I got to show love to my Canadian boys in Annihilator for Never Never Land. Yes, sir. Yeah. And so that's, more the heavier stuff. Now, the stuff I kind of honorable mentions on the, sort of, again, back to the glamier stuff. Again, my Canadian boys in Killer Dwarfs, Dirty Weapons, fantastic album. I do have In Heart of the Young by Winger on here. I got the Firehouse debut. Was an honorable mention. Yeah, and Baton Rouge, Shake Your Soul. I don't know if you ever heard that album.
Never got into that record. Never got into that one for some reason.
No? Yeah. And one that I thought was going to be on your list, I'm a little shocked. I thought it was going to be on there, but the Heaven's Edge debut.
Yeah.
I thought Mike's going to pick. He's going to pick Heaven's Edge somewhere in his list. I know. But so I put that on there. Great record.
Yeah, that was in the contention. It was there. But I think I'll be honest. I was off from work one week. Not that long ago, and I was doing some housework, and I listened to it, and I think there's some really super strong songs, but then there's some other ones that are kind of typical fare for, like Bad Reputation. That's like a song that's on every hair band's album, you know what I mean? So it was like, just like...
That song actually annoys me.
Yeah. So it just wasn't a good, complete album effort. So that one just didn't make it up to some other things. I got some oddball honorable mentions. So one album that I just couldn't put on, I wanted to, but I just got into Pretty Maids more like in recent times. I don't know why they just skipped me. And I love Jump the Gun, but I think probably getting into it so late, and I've spent so much more time with those other albums, I like No Prayer for the Dying. Megadeth, Iron Maiden. I think that's a great album. I don't know, I didn't like it so much when it came out, but then years later, I think there's some really cool songs. I like when Maiden's a little bit simpler. I don't like super long songs in general, so I feel like they kind of got back to basics for that one. So I do like that. I also had Never Never Land. I had Rat Detonator and Heartbreak Station for the glam stuff as honorable mentions. So here's two that I'm surprised you didn't mention. I love Horoscope by Overkill.
Oh, yes. Yep.
I love that one. That was so close.
Love it.
That almost made it. And then, of course, Cowboys from Hell. I think Vulgar Display is a little bit better than Cowboys from Hell, and I feel like that's when Pantera really comes into their own, But Cowboys from Hell is still pretty damn good.
Yeah, and it was there. I have it written down here, Cowboy, and I do have Horoscope by Overkill written down here, and I just didn't. Like I said, I was going for stuff that I just played the living crap out of. You know what I mean? And those albums, I just didn't. They were there. I played them. I love them. Don't get me wrong, but I didn't play the crap out of them.
Yep. And a couple ones that I wrote down. I think I might have just wrote these like last minute today because I guess I wasn't clear that King's X Faith, Hope, Love was released in 90. For some reason, I was thinking it was 89. But that's a really cool album, and I really liked that album when it came out because, once again, I feel like I was starting to get into like the Beatles and different stuff. So I thought it was cool how there was like a metal Beatles, and I loved how they had more than one vocalist. How the bass player and the guitar player both sang. So that's a really cool album. Mother Love Bone was cool, man. That was some good stuff. I don't know if it fits in with our list here today, but that's a pretty damn cool album. And of course, Facelift. Even when if you watch Headbangers Ball in 90, you would have seen all this shit together. So I guess I was kind of hoping all this stuff could exist in the same sandbox. You know what I mean? But it didn't work that way. But in 90, we saw that snapshot where everybody could coexist. Slaughter and Alice in Chains and Mother Love Bone and Priest and all these guys could be on the same show. And, it all worked for that 1 year. And then it was over in 91. It was done. It was starting to fall apart.
And it was the same way here in Canada because you had the Headbangers Ball, we had the Pepsi Power Hour on Much Music, and it was the same way. All these bands just kind of coexisted. And, you could, I'll have some of that. No, I'll have some of that. You could get into all these bands. And then all of a sudden this almost like this segregation thing happened where it was like, oh, you can't listen to those bands anymore because they're not Nirvana and they're not from Seattle. And it's like, what is happening here? Like, all of a sudden somebody's deciding what we're going to listen to. What's so rock and roll about that? When did these rules come into play? Like, it made no sense to me.
No. All right, man. Well, hey, you have a good week. And I'm sure I'll be talking with you and interacting with you on Twitter.
Absolutely, brother. You take care.
Thanks,
all
man.
The best, eh?
Well, that was a fun one. I hope you enjoyed it. Lots of cool episodes are on the way. Subscribe so you don't miss a thing. And, of course, rock on!